Everybody, Andrew Cuneo here. It's going to be my first YouTube video in a while. I hadn't been making many videos because I really wanted Alchemy to be exciting when it came out with the Streets of New Capenna cards, and it just really wasn't for me. So there hasn't been a whole bunch of content that I really wanted to be making, but today's different. Today's Qualifier weekend, and I'm going to play my blue-white Lotus Field deck and record the matches for you. I've made some other videos. I made, I think, one video with this deck, and I've refined it some since then. I've got Dream Trawlers in my sideboard now. I tinkered with the lands a little bit, tinkered, you know, with various one-ofs, especially in the sideboard, but it's basically the same deck as the last video I made on it. And I've been doing well with it on the ladder, so I'm not going to dive into it too deep here, because this is hopefully going to be a long video anyway, because hopefully I'm going to win a lot, but let's see how it goes. Choose your deck. Damp Esper, no black. The cosmetics cannot be changed for the duration of the event. Wow, they're really cracking down on that. Alright, match one, let's go. Strong hand. The best possible hands in this deck always have Strict Proctor plus Lotus Field. I don't have either of those, so it's not an insane hand. But certainly on the play, I think it's good enough to be worth keeping. Definitely going to portable hold this. The real decision is, do I want to play Jwari Disruption as a land, or do I want to save it to cast? I think I want to play it as a land, because I want to make sure I get to 4 mana and 5 mana on curve. I will let this elf live rather than Fateful Absence it. I'll probably be Fateful Absencing whatever it is they cast. Hopefully this is not one of those super Planeswalker heavy decks. Right, they have Collected Company in their hand. That is fine. I hope they like this cosmetic, because there's no change in it. There's no going back. You're stuck with the horrible cosmetic. They are going to get a card here, which is a little bit annoying. But I'll take care of the Steel Leaf Champion.
You're just underwhelming.
I'm doing this in response to this trigger in case they're playing with a card like Snakeskin Veil. An Old Growth Troll. You got it.
Strike fast and strike hard.
I think I'm going to Fateful Absence the Werewolf Pack Leader. And chump the Old Growth Troll. Now I'll be able to minus the Wandering Emperor and the Old Growth Troll. Ugh, yuck. That is a lot of stuff.
Almost sad to see you go.
Maybe next turn I'll be able to stick to Teferi. I really need to draw Farewell at this point. And if it's not Farewell, maybe another Wandering Emperor could let me start getting some traction. I'm being overrun by old growth trolls. They just keep growing and growing and growing.
I'm known for my excellent timing. You know what? I'm not.
I do have Otawara, which maybe I can do something with here. This is a game where I really needed to have drawn a Lotus Field, so I could get some mana advantage to compete with the massive number of ridiculously giant creatures they keep playing. Please play around, settle the wreckage, opponent. I think they're thinking about it, at least. I can just bounce the Steel Leaf Champion and go to 1. Or I can chump the Lair of the Hydra, be at 4. I think I should chump the Lair of the Hydra and be at 4. They're both actually pretty bad options because even if I draw Farewell at this point, they've got the 2 Lair of the Hydras that would be lethal. So I need to draw like Farewell into March of Otherworldly Light. That'd be a way to get out of this. So many old growth trolls. Well, that's not a Farewell or an Otherworldly Light. We're drawing pretty thin now. The amount of old growthing they were doing was exceptional. I have a lot of good cards in this matchup. Alright, those are the ones I like. What don't I like? Don't like Saw It Coming, don't really like Dovin's Veto. Don't like Tail's End. I'm going to trim a little bit on Shark Typhoons. Maybe something like that. I'm lacking the white mana. It's hand good, even if I top deck the white mana. It's pretty good. I think I can do better, though. Alright. I like this better. Sadly, it's going to be a lot of tap lands. Oh, the Llanowar Elves on turn 1 again. Yeah. This is beginning to feel like a pretty quick loss. Llanowar Elves is a pretty messed up card in that deck. It's a pretty messed up card in general. Come on, Lotus Field off the top. Western Beast. Shut down the Pelt Collector at least. Not bad. And I lose. Well, that was sad. Alright. Had only one loss to give. I've given it. My generosity is well known. Another mulligan. Excellent. This might be some sort of a mirror or pseudo mirror. Not what I was hoping for. I was hoping for a land. That was today not going very well. This is like pretty unlikely to work, and it leaves me exposed to them just resolving. That's a Teferi, but if I don't take a chance there, I think I'm pretty doomed. I do also have Fateful Absence, so in theory I could, maybe fight back through a resolved Teferi. I also just might not have it. They do have it.
You show remorse. Hold that.
Two castles. Castle used to be really good in this matchup. It's not really particularly strong anymore. It's just so much mana to sink into something that doesn't have that big of an impact. I mistapped my mana. I wasn't thinking. I should have been able to Dovin's Veto that. Alright.
Commotion.
Let's see if they run out of good cards. They've had mostly the good cards in the matchup so far. Hopefully their hand has some stinkers in it. Please give me some more lands. Maybe it wasn't a great card to cast there because now don't want to discontinuity that because of the way like if I discontinuity I have to tap my Lotus Field and then I can't leave up Dovin's Veto. This at least forces them to have to do something on their turn if they want to care about that. Okay.
I've learned much during my travels. Keep watch for intruders.
This I can live with. I'm gonna get Teferi out. Sadly, they have a Narset in play, so the Teferi is going to be contained.
Keep up the pace.
But I do have a flipped Azcanta. So it is doing something for me. Dream Trawler. Not a very good card in this matchup. But they played a Field of Ruin, which is kind of miserable for me.
Enemies.
But they're not using it. They're going after the Teferi instead. Interesting. The reason that Dream Trawler is oftentimes not a very good card in this matchup is Shark Typhoon, which I don't have any copies of right now. So that's not great.
This was overwhelming. Hone your prowess.
This one may have slipped away a little bit.
I know my responsibility. Hurry.
Remember your training. If you wish to surrender now, with thoughtfulness before action.
Alright, sideboarding. And honestly, it's less about sideboarding, it's more about let's just have a functional hand for the first time. Don't think I want Farewell. Certainly don't want Portable Hole. This is how I usually sideboard in the mirror. It's a little bit more complicated if I think they might have Lotus Field. But you're not going to have Lotus Field in a Urion build, blue-white. So, seems fine. Much better hand. Really a great hand, honestly. In a sideboarded game, I'm just going to jam this on turn 2. Whether you play this on turn 2 or you hold it for turn 3 depends a lot on the matchup you're playing. The only sad thing is that because of Dovin's Veto, it's kind of hard to just jam a Teferi through. And I didn't, oh, never mind. I drew a Shark Typhoon now. I have a Jwari Disruption in case they have the Wandering Emperor here. I think if they play Memory Deluge, I won't Disruption it. And would instead choose to just go for a big Shark Typhoon. But letting the Wandering Emperor get into play this early, they're going to get a ton of value off of it, so it's not a very good idea. In theory, I could have tried to kill the Wandering Emperor with the Shark token, but you're really banking on the Shark token surviving if you're doing that, and that's not guaranteed in a sideboard game. They could have something like Brazen Borrower. They could still have March of Otherworldly Light in their deck, which they probably do, because one of the disadvantages of playing the Urion build is you're an 80-card deck, so you just don't get to sideboard as much. So you're going, like, you just have, you know, you have more removal spells in your main deck overall, and you just can't take them all out because you don't have enough sideboard cards.
Keep up the pace.
I could have played the Wandering Emperor while they were tapped out. I'd rather be able to Mystical Dispute something and pay for their Mystical Dispute back. I don't really care that much about the Wandering Emperor resolving here. A little bit of land destruction goes a long way. Well, that was easy enough. All right, let's just do that again. Down them all to 6. I don't think I've seen any sensors or Jwari Disruptions out of them. So I think again I'm just going to jam the Proctor. It's probably the most effective card they could play there.
I must stay focused.
And I'm going to hold off on playing the Mazemind Tome. Really the only thing I'm probably going to be able to Jwari Disruption is the Wandering Emperor, but I'm willing to do that. That worked out great. Well, maybe a minor setback now. Okay. I really think it is a substantial mistake to be playing Absorb and Field of Ruin in your deck together like my opponent is doing. I'm not a fan. Not a fan at all. I think I spewed my Mystical Dispute there. I think I should have just played the Wandering Emperor and let them have their Narset. Yeah. Alright, I'm on the scoreboard. 1-1. 6 more to go. Round 3. This is, I think, is a keepable hand. Because of the Jwari Disruption and also the fact that I have a farmland I'm going to be able to cycle, should I want to. Obviously, if I could, I would trade a land for a spell, but this really isn't that bad. I think if they thought seize me, I'm going to saw it coming on it. I don't often counter Thoughtseize, but sometimes it's the right play. I think I just made a pretty big mistake. I should have just played a Jwari Disruption, so I would be guaranteed of having Teferi for next turn.
We need to move quickly.
It's a lot of Castle Lochthwains. How many swamps they actually have in their mana base?
You know what? I'm not.
I have a potential Planeswalker covered. One thing I don't have covered is if they have a spell that directly kills Teferi, like Chief's Thirst. That's kind of bad for me. I might lose now. Need to draw Shark Typhoons. I would 100% hardcast Shark Typhoon if it shows up on top of my deck. Another good draw would obviously be Memory Deluge. More Teferis. I have a lot of good draws. Even though I only have 3 lands in play, I've actually drawn a fair number of lands this game. Let's see if it will leave me a white mana. That's what I wanted. And we'll untap the Lotus Fields, and I'll start making the 1/1 soldiers, which it's going to take a long time for the 1/1 soldiers to get to the point where they're doing anything, but it's a start. I do want to have some ability to pressure their life total, given that they had the Castle Lochthwains. I don't want them to just get, 7 free cards off of it in a super long game. They did discard 1 Fatal Push to hand size. It wouldn't surprise me if there's a few more Fatal Pushes in their hand, which in some ways it's making the Castle Lochthwain easier to use if I give them targets for them to Fatal Push, but I think I'm going to be able to activate the Ardenvale long enough over the course of this game that it'll be fine. I guess I need to kill this, because if I try to just block it, or I let the damage go through onto the Teferi, they're just going to kill Teferi with Bone Crusher Giant, and that would be a disaster. Alright, so I'm going to get to Farewell. We'll get everything. I mean, enchantments won't be included because there won't be any, but I'll name those two just to cover all the bases. This was a huge draw. They were maybe starting to get back into the game up until that point. They're just getting priority here because they have blood tokens. I don't think they have a meaningful spell they could be casting. I might as well get graveyards here. They probably have Crocs in their deck. They definitely have Culligan's Command in their deck. I don't have anything in my graveyard that... I guess I have one search for Azcanta that I've maybe made... Well, I've made worse by doing this. They just discarded a second Fatal Push. So they're probably running a little bit low on cards that answer Shark Typhoon. This is going to be dirty. I like it. So I'm going to discontinuity them in their upkeep. Probably until they concede. I never understand why people do this. I guess maybe they're hoping to hit Fatal Push and get to Fatal Push the Shark while I'm tapped out, so it makes some small amount of sense.
No time for a break.
Oh, I didn't still have a stop? Oh, whatever. It looked like I had a stop. It's confusing to me when you discontinuity people, what happens with the stops is not really clear to me. They've made good use of all of the Heartless Acts and Fatal Pushes they've drawn. Not good enough, but they've done something at least. With the exception of the one that got discarded to hand size, which honestly, if they hadn't had to discard to hand size, they would have cast that one as well.
Feel the energy of battle.
Alright.
Guide it like water.
I do like Dream Trawler. I think Soul Guide Lantern's fine-ish. I don't know if I'm going to play it or not. I like that. I like that. I like those. I like those. I like a lot of cards in this matchup. Let's try it like that. I shouldn't have Mazemind Tome in my deck if they were going to have Kolaghan's Command. Please don't play Fable in the Mirror Breaker, please. Nothing. Nothing I can handle. Would have been nice to draw lands there. There will be no mirth. No one will have any mirth.
For the sake of all Innistrad, my will must prevail. Nothing on Innistrad is free. What's one more grudge?
Okay. Sadly, this isn't a Shadow the Sky in this spot. It's mildly annoying.
Aw, looks like someone's getting a little sweaty. I'll try to come back for you. It's my turn. Oh, this is gonna hurt.
Hopefully they don't have an edict effect. If they don't, I think I'm in okay shape. If they do, it's a little bit questionable. Did they only discard one card? Ugh, that's a bad sign. Maybe they just have nothing in their deck that is good against Dream Trawler. That'd be nice. Do have the Hall of Storm Giants that can attack the Chandra. Now that they're taking their time, I wonder if they don't have a plan against Dream Trawler. A backup Chandra? It's not a great plan. They might just have a card like Fry. This is going to be close. This is one of those spots where if I turn the corner and the Dream Trawler starts connecting, it's going to get really easy to win, but if they can hold it off for one more turn, it's going to be pretty hard, I think. Their hand probably is pretty bad if they're thinking this long.
Get out of my way. I'll burn it up here. No pressure.
Yeah, that was actually
Yup.
fairly good.
Down.
So maybe it's not that bad. So let's say attack small Chandra, Fateful Absence, big Chandra. I'll be at 9 life, down to 7 life. I'll get another card. That seems pretty good.
You will regret this. I can always do better next time. This'll be easy.
They don't have Heartless Act or Fry. They're trying to draw into it. Makes sense. Probably there's nothing they can hit for 1 mana, so they probably are stuck. They're not going to have a card like Lightning Axe in their deck right now. I won't have the ability to chump a potential attacker if I need to. So I'll make a 1/1 there rather than using Castle Vantress. We're not going to chump attack with our 1/1 we just made. Is this even worth playing?
Figure it out on your own.
Probably. If the, I think I've gotten enough life now that if the Dream Trawler dies, I could maybe use Search for Azcanta to get, you know, to still piece together a win. I'm glad that I cast it, so otherwise it would have just been to rest. Thing's kind of annoying. I'm going to scry this turn. I would like to find a Wandering Emperor so I can get this Reflection of Kiki Jiki off the board. Yeah, I think that's good enough. So I'm going to attack first and see what I draw off the Dream Trawler. Assuming I don't draw anything that really changes my plans, I'm just going to Aether Gust the Reflection of Kiki Jiki, which is generally not a great play once it's in play, but this is special circumstances. And by doing it now, they're not going to be able to, you know, make a Blood Tithe Harvester at the end step. The only thing they're profiting is that they get a blood token. Am I doing it now? Which, you know, it's the right play for the opponent, but it's not that big of a deal for me. And as you can see, they didn't even, like, they just put it on the bottom because it wasn't going to be good enough draw. Dream Trawler's a hell of a card. All right, that was a good game, from my perspective at least. Round 4, I've got a record of 2-1. So this is going to be a turn 3, put a Lotus Field into play, and then rely on Memory Deluge to find what I need from that point. Be a little bit annoying if I get Thoughtseize and they take the Discontinuity, but they might be tempted to take Memory Deluge. I have 2 good cards for them to Thoughtseize. They can't take them both. Hopefully what happens is they take Discontinuity and then I immediately top deck a different way to cheat the Lotus Field into play. I think I'll just pitch the Lotus Field. Does that make sense? I think so. So now I'll be able to go 1/1 Shark or Jwari Disruption into Memory Deluge. And they missed their land drop. They almost definitely have something that's going to kill this shark, but what are you going to do? Not very interested in protecting my shark, or even stopping them from having a Bone Crusher Giant there, just because as soon as they draw their third land, they're always going to have stuff to do. Keeping the Bone Crusher Giant out of the adventure zone really doesn't help me that much. I took a second Teferi over the Jwari Disruption there, just because I think that as long as I have Teferi in play, I'm going to be winning this game, so I wanted a little bit of insurance. Obviously, the Jwari Disruption is very likely to be able to counter a spell, given that they've missed land drops. They're just crushing me with Bone Crusher Giants. Thoughtseize is a little bit annoying. So I'm going to get to take my Saw It Coming. Well, they didn't get to take it, because they gave up instead. Alright. We know Dream Trawler is great. I didn't see any K commands out of their deck, because they just didn't play very many things. I think I probably want Mazemind Tome. Until I actually see that they have K command. I think I'm going to continue to have one depopulate in my deck. I like it just to clean up the boards where they have like Graveyard Trespasser and Bone Crusher Giant. I maybe should have played a split of one depopulate, one Shatter the Sky for this matchup in particular. Seems good. Though I guess Shatter the Sky would let them draw a card off of Bone Crusher Giant, as opposed to them drawing a card off of Blood Tithe Harvester. So maybe it is right to just have all depopulates. Also, a lot of the times if they play the Graveyard Trespasser, you might have to let it flip to the Graveyard Glutton, and then be looking to clean it up later. So having thought about it, I'm happy with Depopulate. This hand is soft to a turn 3. Fable of the Mirror Breaker. One thing about this red-black deck, though, is they just have so much discard after sideboard that you cannot mulligan to, you know, just hoping to get particular answers. You need to just sort of give yourself as many cards as possible. I would guess that they generally have 6 to 8 discard spells post-board. They're always going to have 4 Thoughtseizes. They usually have some mix of Duresses and Go Blanks, and then they probably have like 2 Croxes a lot of the time. Surprised they took the Shark Typhoon. I would have thought Memory Deluge might have been more tempting. Alright, there we go. Definitely don't want to play that as a land this turn, because I really want to stop Fable of the Mirror Breaker if they have it. I would also stop Graveyard Glutton, Graveyard Trespasser, whatever it's called. That was a huge draw. Jwari Disruption, not the Dream Trawler that I'm probably not going to be able to cast. You think this is a sign that their hand is incredibly good? They discarded 2 fries. Wow. Alright. I'm not liking my chances particularly of winning this game, but it's good to know they have fries in their sideboard. It's not surprising, but seeing 2 of them is pretty telling. I want to make sure I can Tails End a Planeswalker this turn, which is why I didn't Fateful Absence that. If they don't play anything, I'm going to Fateful Absence at end of turn. Blood Tithe Harvester. Sure. They might just not have lands. That might be what's going on here. Come on, land. It is a land. It's not the land that I would have chosen for myself, though. Do I have to Divine Smite this turn? Probably should. I want to just preserve my life total, so that next turn I'm almost definitely gonna main phase Memory Deluge to just try to hit lands. Playing the Teferi, it would just die right away. That's not that appealing to me. If they have a Chandra or a Soaring, I'm probably gonna lose, but I'm probably gonna lose either way. I don't really understand what they're thinking about for so long. Or at least why they're hovering over their creatures. I can understand why they're maybe thinking about whether or not to use the blood or sack the clue, but hovering over the creatures doesn't make a ton of sense. Okay. Am I just dead if they go Reflection of Kiki-Jiki the Bone Crusher Giant, attack me for 11, I go to 4. I play Dream Trawler, I'm at functionally 7. I think I'm just dead on board. If I don't draw... Depopulate. Maybe I could live if I draw the Wandering Emperor. Okay, they're just dealing less damage to me than they could otherwise, but maybe they're about to cast a creature. If they cast a creature, I could top deck Depopulate. They just played a useless Go Blank. Nice. I guess they can just Reflection the Blood Tithe Harvester and I die this way. They Reflection the Blood Tithe Harvester, throw the copy of the Dream Trawler, which forces me to act, and then they can just attack me for 7. I'm going to assume that they're going to find that line, but we're going to see. I'm not going to change how I sideboarded. I'm just going to hope to profit from being on the play and being able to make my land drops more consistently, hopefully. This is not the hand that I was hoping for. Alright. Keep that. Probably ditch one of these Lotus Fields just in case the Strict Proctor dies. Also, it's not really clear that what I would be doing with all of the mana from 2 Lotus Fields, given what my hand is. Oh, it's not even Thoughtseize. It's Duress, so they can't take the Strict Proctor. Nice. I should probably take Jwari Disruption, I would guess. Maybe the plan is to try to play around it. I'm going to have a bit of a choice on my next turn whether or not to play the Strict Proctor. Because I think that if I cast it and they have the ability to fry it, they will. But they could also have Thoughtseize. Probably have more Thoughtseizes left in their deck than fries, but they might have just Thoughtseized on turn 1. I think I'm going to lean towards casting it. Might be wrong. We'll see. Also, I just drew it something that they would fry if they could. Oh. Didn't think about that one. Not great. Did I blow it by playing the Strict Proctor the turn I did? Maybe I did. Maybe I did. They didn't get stopped, so they didn't have Fry in their hand there. So maybe I still can win. I'll take a 9-ball. Please act, opponent, do something.
When people start screaming, I know I'm on track. Yep, you're flammable.
This puts me up to 10. I'm not just dead to the Croxa. What do I want to do? I missed a point of life. I should have just cycled in combat. My plan is to chump. I'm horrible. Why didn't I discard that to the Dream Trawler? Not that it really is very likely to matter. I guess if they have a sorcery speed removal spell, it could matter a lot. I wanted to have a card in my hand in case they draw into a fry. That's my thought process there. Which, in a lot of spots, you wouldn't want a card in your hand because their deck's filled with Thoughtseizes and Duresses, but they've played a lot of those already, and I don't want to just die to them top decking Fry or finding Fry off this Fable of the Mirror Breaker. They want to, they can discard enough cards to bring back Kroxa. If they can't kill Dream Trawler, I win if I draw Teferi next turn. I get to lethal, right? Same thing with the Shark Typhoon. I pitched Thoughtseize Graveyard Trespasser. Not that it can matter this time, but I'll do it the right way. Why not? That's not what I wanted. That is what I wanted. Okay. That should be enough to guarantee the win. I'm holding the Strict Proctor in my hand as a card to discard to Dream Trawler. Also, I want to just leave Aether Gust up. I'm not going to gust well, I'm not going to gust anything unless they force me to. Because you can gust Fry to prevent it from tapping the Dream Trawler. For most, even though I was kind of trying to protect my Dream Trawler through Fry, for a lot of those turns, I think if they had drawn a Fry, just tapping the Dream Trawler for one turn would have been enough to win. That was incredibly close. And pretty lucky on my part. Alright, I've gotten 5,000 gems. 4 more wins to go. I won the die roll again. I've won a lot of those today. It's a good talent to have. Maybe be a Greasefang deck. Greasefang decks wouldn't have drawn Catacomb in them. This is going to be something weird. Maybe it is a Greasefang deck. It is. Party land number 2. Find it weird that they have Drowned Catacomb in their deck. I did not put up much of a fight this game. Alright, what do we got in the way of sideboard cards? Weathered Runestone, Soul Guide Lantern, Divine Smites. All quite good. Portal Hole's just been horrendous for me every round. Put up more of a fight. Put up more of a fight. That's the goal of this game. Mission accomplished. I've put up more of a fight already. I've cast a spell. I've cast 2 spells even. Let's get them all. That's kind of nasty. Please don't put party land number 2 into the graveyard this turn. It would make things hard for me. It's going to be Parley Alien number 2. Land. Land is nice. Goodbye, Jwari Disruption. You were good while you lasted. Do I want another Discontinuity? I think I do. The Wandering Emperor is not really that good in this matchup. They have Shark Typhoon and Tainted Indulgence. And you don't get to Wandering Emperor Greasefang very often to good effect. Alright, well we got the Greasefang angle covered probably. That, on the other hand, is going to be a problem. Kind of wish I had done this on my end step. That was bad. Now I probably can't even block because if they have Tainted Indulgence, my guy just dies. That was really poor. Come on, Divine Smite off the top of my deck. You're not what I was looking for. They have 3 copies of Parhelion number 2 in their graveyard now. For a total of 6 copies of Parhelion number... I guess that's 6 Parhelions? Maybe? It's hard to say. That was a Soaring they just discarded. This game hasn't been very fun. Still waiting on that land draw, huh? It's going to be so hard to resolve a spell now that I finally have lands. Do you think that they might have had time to find additional copies of Dovin's Veto? With the 7 million cards they've gotten to draw? They're discarding Grease Fangs now. That's a bad sign. I guess I really punted by not casting that March while they were tapped out, or tapped down to 1 mana. I think I still would lose, but it would have gotten less out of hand less quickly. I don't even have depopulating my deck right now. So this isn't going to work. So it's the end of this run. I went 3-2. Pretty disappointing. But I got 5,000 gems. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed watching my struggles. And I will see you next time.